Hello, everyone. Corrie here, coming in to record all about the Libra energy. And we're going to be beginning with the 2005 energy update for Libra. Now, I kind of missed out on the first few months, and I'm just getting to the Libra now. I feel like it's almost like a protection of the Libra energy, but we've all been existing in the 2025 to know what 2025 has looked like thus far. Now, for my Libra energy moving forward, is that there is a real kind of shift in energy that's also happening. And I want to share with you a little bit about the Libra. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit about Libra before I go deep into channeling through the energy for your year. And so, of course, Libra being a cardinal air, and your archetype is the Diplomat, and your ruling planet is Venus. And of course, and you're in the seventh house is where the natural home of Libra energy is. So Libra is that kind of beginning of where we make the shift from the I to the we, and moving into a more about the collective, about the family community, about creating that balance and harmony. And sometimes for Libra, it's a little bit hard to balance making themselves a priority versus making everyone else a priority. And so the angel is Archangel Jophiel, and it's the beauty of God. And now if I were to go back to the Diplomat, is that Libra wants to do what is right. Always wants to do what is right for the people, wants to do what is right for family. But sometimes you got to remember to also do what is right for you. What is right for you? And is that, if what's right for you might not feel right because it's not right for everyone else. And when you start to make that shift and change in your life, that you start to make you the priority, then you start to recognize, oh crap, like this is not really, like this doesn't feel good. And it doesn't feel good because it's not familiar. It is very unfamiliar to do what is right for you and not to be responding from the guilt of thinking that it has to be for everyone else first. And so that does come up for the Libra this year in a big way. And so your accomplishments of 2000 is congratulations, you've leveled up. And you really have, like, you've really come through a big cycle that would have been, playing out for, the past, I want to say maybe 15 years of your life, 16 years of your life, maybe even longer. But there's just been this kind of like evolution that's been happening. Now, if you're a very young Libra, I feel like the leveling up is a little bit different than the leveling up of someone who's moving into their Corona energy, moving into even into like midlife. Like there's a difference in which stage of say maiden mother Corona energy. So early onset of our lives to becoming early adult to then moving into the mid, and then to be moving into what they would call like the senior years. So there is a big difference in what that leveling up would look like for each. Now, the 2025, it says you may have to wait till the end of the year to see the result of the seeds you planted. Faith in you is a must. And it's so easy to put all of your faith and get lost in what others say or in the world or waiting for the world to change. But this is about having faith in you. This is going to be a very unfamiliar year for Libra energy because it is a year that is more about you. So it's unfamiliar, but it's a necessity. So the card that I called in way back to be able to bring in the energy for this comes from my Want to Know a Secret to a Life of More Than Existing. And so the card is doubting your actions. Here's a tool you may feel inclined to use. If you're questioning whether you made the right decision, chances are you have taken the wrong approach. So it doesn't mean you've made the wrong decision, you've taken the wrong approach. There's a difference here. But don't worry, there's a solution. Correct your actions or responses, and you'll never have to doubt again. So sometimes when you make a right decision, it's like saying, well, I've decided to do this, instead of saying, I feel like I want to do this, but what do you think? And so then it's like, you get all these opinions, and then you doubt yourself, and then you back away from what you knew was right to do. And so this is going to be that year for you. Now I'm going to stop sharing because the rest ties over into all the rest of the conversation. So bringing that down. So for Libra, as I said, it is a bit of an unfamiliar year. You may not reap the rewards of everything that you are experiencing, and you may be like, well, why isn't it happening in the beginning of the year? And it's not happening in the beginning of the year because of the influx of the shift in energy, a change in the tides. It's like we're moving from one reality into a next reality, and it's an ending. There has been an ending that's happening, and there has been a new beginning. Whereas you sitting in your natural position, say being in the seventh, is the teeter-totter. It's in the middle. It is the post that balances the scales, right? And so it's like on each side of the scales, we have this and we have that, and you're right here. And so there's a knowing that when you find that balance, and balance is not always equality. It's not always about what's totally equal. It's what makes life feel like I'm living in harmony, or I'm in flow with my truth, and I'm living my truth. And so my truth may not be anyone else's truth, but I can accept my truth now. This is where, this is where we start to align. So it kind of moves you into more the beginning of, say, July. And I want to say July is when you really see it. And then when you come around to your season, and when your season begins to arrive, that's when you're starting to see the seeds starting to sprout. You're starting to see things take off. And so patience is a virtue, that's the truth. And impatience is what leads to the vices that kind of take us away from our patience, and we become impulsive, reactive, responsive to all of our fear stories, all of the insecurities. And so moving into this year is really looking at those insecurities and gauging those insecurities and fear stories that have been previously in your life, and just saying, I've leveled up from those. I no longer have to live in that same fear story. I can be afraid, definitely can be afraid. Afraid is a real thing. But it's really an eye opener, because Libra has the ability to see all sides of things, to see the perspectives of what's happening. And so where you operate the best is in harmony. So when life feels like it's in harmony and in flow, you're living your truth. Now, when you're living from the aspects of the shadow, or from the fear story, is like things are out of balance. And so if you doubt whether or not you can carry, hold, accept the balance over here, that we need, this balances this out. It's like light and dark, right? There is a balancing of energy, and it's a balancing act. And it's like day and night. And just like when this time changes, right? We get more light than we get dark. And so it kind of throws some people off. And so finding that balance is knowing that I can handle this, I can carry this, I can do this. And just because I can doesn't mean I have to. I live by that mantra now everywhere in my life. Just because I have the strength, just because I have the knowing, just because I have the education, just because I have all that doesn't mean I have to keep doing something that no longer feels in alignment for me. So for some of you, this is going to be the year that you're going to make the decision to make a big career change. Some of you may be jumping from the spending like maybe 25, 30 years in a career that you worked hard to get all the diplomas for, and then all of a sudden you're waking up and you're going, this doesn't align no more. And the reason it doesn't align is because the version of you that would have went and studied that, would have fell in love with that version of you is no longer here. So we keep trying to live in the version, we keep trying to keep and hold on to the life that align to previous versions of ourselves. And the more that you keep trying to hold on to a life that was once of the versions of you of the past, how do you know it's no longer for you? It depletes you, it's tiring, it's exhausting, you got so many secrets. Who you are in front of everyone else is not who you are behind closed doors. There is a massive out of balance of the energy between getting up and going to work versus versus who you are when you come home, and then you're trying to recharge, say all week or all weekend, or you're trying to make up for something, and you're like, oh, well, this doesn't work for me. This doesn't align. And this is where, it's like, so there's going to be some big courageous acts. And Libra is not always courageous in their own natural makeup. And it's like, and so there's not a boldness to it, but there's a certainty. And there's a difference. So the certainty comes from the spiritual courage. It's a faith. It's a knowing. It's a trust in self, a trust in our divine light, a trust in your intuition, and you begin to trust that intuition, and you just know. So I'm doing this because I just know. I know this to be true. I know this to be true for me. Doesn't mean it's true for everyone. When we can accept that, that's huge. That's a huge thing. When you can accept that your truth is not everyone else's truth. And it doesn't mean your truth is 100% true. It is a fraction. It's a fraction of a truth. But it's true for you, right? It's a true for you. And now I'm putting this in perspective to everyday living. I don't mean in events that would have happened to you, right? There's a difference. There's hardcore truths that are 100%. And then there is in our life. This is in our views, in our beliefs, in our values, in all the things that creates our society, the way our collective consciousness, our programming, our conditioning. It doesn't hold a solid 100% truth, right? Like there's questionable things within there. And when we can accept that there's room for questioning. So when people are questioning is not an attack. Is that there's other possibilities, and there is other possibilities, and what ifs, right? And so there is other possibilities, and it's not an attack. It's the truth that there is other options. But do I want to take the other option? It's like taking the long road or the short road. It's like, well, there's a shortcut. Yeah, I know there's a shortcut, or you can deny it and say there is no other shortcut. There's only one road. There's only one road, and I'm only taking that one road. Yeah, but there's a shortcut. Yeah, but don't know. I've been told to only go this road. So I'm only going to go this road. This is my only way. I'm going to stay on this road. Yeah, but there's a shortcut. Doesn't matter. I know how to get here. And it's the habitual, it's the safe, it's the knowing, but it doesn't mean that there's not another road. There's not another truth. And so for some of you, you're going to be getting off the long way, and you're going to be taking the path less taken. You're going to be start to traveling into this kind of letting the moving into the wilderness, into the wild, and just saying, I know there's a road out here. I know there's a shorter way, and it might take me as long to get there, but I'm gonna become the explorer through here. So breaking free of a little bit of that diplomatic energy, which is a bit foreign, but it is still an archetype that does align to you. You do still have that archetypal energy. You're just probably so used to being one way that you have not been able to navigate or see yourself living a different life or a different way. And so that's really coming up big time for my Libra energies. And so if Libra is your sun sign, then you would be feeling the effects of this. If you're cross-watching and you have a Libra moon, it would be very different than the ego. It would be tied mostly, it would be like emotional responses, whereas because we're looking at the sun, we're looking at the sense of identity. We're looking at consciousness. We're looking at how you respond to this energy, how you show up in the world, and the evolution of the ego is what we're here to be. And when we're not awakened in any way, when we're really kind of asleep at the wheel, is that you're like, what ego? What is ego? And the only identity of an ego you would have is when someone would have too much pride, and you would see arrogance, and you would associate that to be the ego, right? The ego is the persona. It is the identity that we create for our survival, for our sense of how we believe we're supposed to be in this world. Now it holds other things. It also carries and holds our motivation. And so it is that which motivates us. So our beliefs, our programming, our conditioning, all that ties into all of that energy in our lower vibrating energy, including even some sense of your beliefs around faith, all is what motivates us. And so once you begin to open up to the possibility that, oh, there's something more to this, then, oh yeah, I guess I have to look at this. And so it's like Libra can be very, can be the very practical, um, can be very logical, can be very connected, but is also, the, it's also the deep compassionate care, the caretaker of everyone, and making sure everyone is included and everyone is involved. So when we look at our list of everyone, and what's on your list of priorities, and where are you on the list of priorities? Where are you? Are you at the top or at the bottom? And for some weird reason, I just seen in my vision a rat run across. I'm like, oh, okay. So some of us are living in the dump, and not living in our, not living in the penthouse, right? So it's like, and so there is, and a rat's not always a bad energy. Rat has good energy. And so some of you may have the Chinese astrology of being born the year of the rat. Now we're in the year of the snake. So let's just move over there for a second. So we're in the year of the snake. So in the year of the snake, we look at shedding. It's, the snake is about endings and beginnings, and it's about shedding the skin. It's about shedding the old. It's about, the snake slivers on the ground. It can climb up a tree, but it's very connected to the medicine of Mother Earth and about the magic of Mother Earth. It is about the existence of all things that affect and influence us on an earthly level. But it does have a powerful, majestic, and so the snake eats the rat, and it's chasing the rat, right? And so there's a, but it's also an ally. Without the snake needs the rodent energy. And so there is this yin and yang energy that we need to, and it's, so what they're showing me is balance. Is there has to be a balance. How does the earth survive? It has to be balanced. How do we survive? Balance. And when we're not in that balance, when we're only so laser focused on one way, one thing, one thought, we are not really in balance. And it's you can live your whole life really being out of balance with yourself and be in harmony with the world and fit into the world and be the best person, because everyone just loves you and you're the best and you're the greatest, but be at war with yourself and be out of harmony with you. And so this is why we're telling you, it's not about how you are, show up in the world. It's about how you show up for you. It's like, who am I when nobody is looking? What do I really truly believe to be true about myself? What is my deeper truth? And so it is kind of like a year of contemplation, some real deep truths, and really taking a deep look in at life and what life looks like, and what would my life look like? What would my life feel like? You know, what would I be, how would I be living? What would I be doing? You know, how much more time would I have if I was doing more of what I love, but can still create the balance and not throw me out in other areas. And so it is going to be sorting through. And so, like I said, a change in career, it can also be that shift in balance in some of you may be downsizing your life. Your life may have been built on trying to keep up to the Joneses and keep up to the status quo, that you got to keep getting bigger instead of being happier. It's just about, it has been about material. It has been about living in the material world. And it's like, but now I want to kind of, you know, put my priorities in perspective. And so for some of you, it's going to be about downsizing doesn't mean that you're going to have less financial income or anything like that. It just means priorities. It's a shift in those priorities about what do I value the most? And it's like, I don't need this space anymore. So it could be that you've raised your kids, you're moving your kids out, and now you got all this space, and you're just like, this home could really be a great home for someone else, but it's not my home no more. It's not where I belong. It's not what's going to fulfill me moving forward. And so, or you could be leveling up, and you could be moving into a home that more aligns to your life. So this is where I speak about the different aspects of your age group, of, you know, the generations that we're speaking of here. And so there is kind of like, or you may have been chasing this so-called dream to come to realize it was never your dream. It was what you thought you had to be. And so you're no longer chasing the dream. You're now living, recognizing to live in my dream life. It begins within. And so it's a real deep inner journey and into those inner chambers within ourselves to really, visit those rooms that you don't visit. Visit those spaces within you that you don't visit. So Teresa of Avalon speaks about the castle. Born and Existing, we speak about you are a home and you have a strong foundation and you have a yard, visualize yourself as that. And so you do have to, you do have all this space in these rooms. And am I occupying space inside of myself? Am I taking up space? Do I visit that side of myself, or do I totally ignore and neglect that? Do I only focus on, say, the front yard and not do anything to the backyard? So visualizing that, do I surface heal? Do I do the surface work? Or do I go deep and look behind the heart? What's behind my motives? What's behind the story? What is the nugget of truth? And so when we pull out the rotten root of the story, or we clean up the energy, then we can actually plant new seeds, or we can start to live in and use and utilize the spaces within yourself that you have not yet used, tapped into, accessed. And so I do feel like this year you're going to start accessing this space within. And it is a year of where we are becoming, leveling up, moving into that 5D, 6D energy is what they call it, dimensions, and dimensional energy, and recognizing that, we all have an intuition. We all have a gut feeling. And it's like, why do I not trust myself, but I only trust what is being given to me? Why do I only trust somebody else's word and I don't trust mine? Why do I only feel validated if I got a world of someone else's knowledge behind me, and that is what I want to share, but I'm not trusting that I have access to a greater wisdom. I have access to something more. And so there is like a massive kind of awakening energy that is available here, that is just calling you in and kind of calling you up. And so there is going to be about, what am I watering? What am I nurturing this year? What do I want to nurture? And for many of my Libras, I do feel like your health concerns this year, your health has to be a priority, whether it is in the mental body, the physical body, the emotional body, but really or the spiritual body. It can be spiritual health. It doesn't always have to be physical health. It can be your spiritual health. It's our hygiene. It's our spiritual hygiene. It is the energy hygiene. It is about what affects our energy. So we do have some, can I keep allowing this to affect my energy? And so what do I need to clear out of my energy? So the energetic hygiene is important, but also I do see some physical, emotional as well coming up here. And for some of you, it is kind of working with the mental body, which works with the mind and the imagination, and all that operates from living in the past to, living in the present, and then also looking forward to a future without always being ahead of ourselves or in the past, but being very present. And what do I need to do in this present moment? And who do I need to be in this present moment to live my best, most authentic life? And so authenticity includes trusting you. And so it is going to be about trusting you as you move forward. Now, I do also pick up a sense of in that Libra energy is, for some of you, I feel like you have been on the hamster wheel financially. And it's like you've been chasing something financially, or you've constantly been like, every time you get off the wheel, you think you're getting ahead, but yet you just start to sink back down again. Like it's like you can't get ahead, or you haven't been able to get ahead. And now that we're moving into the March season, it's like, okay, now there's like a beginning. I feel like by April, May, you're going to see yourself beginning to get ahead, and you're going to start getting ahead financially, or or at least getting out of the ruts, right? We're out of the ruts. It's up to you if you can put yourself back in the ruts. So be very aware of overspending, because when we start to feel good and the sun shines and those things begin to happen, is that, or we're like, oh, I'm going to redecorate my house. And it's like, do I really need to redecorate this again? Or do I need to learn that I can be comfortable where I am, that I don't need to keep distracting myself from myself, or that I don't have to keep changing everything around me to try to create this comfort that maybe it's not, maybe I need to redecorate inside and not outside. Maybe this is an inward journey, because like I said, this is an I journey. This is about the I. It is about getting to the truth of the self. It is about building the relationship with the soul. And it's not so much about your material world this year. It is less about that. Now, for some of you, it is also going to include traveling to, that dream location, wherever that is you want to go. And I just got this image of Holland. I don't know who wants to go to, say, Holland or somewhere like that, but I just got this sense of being like coming into, say, Germany. I like that whole part, those parts of the world, something that feels like it was like a dream trip or a dream location. Yours could be simply a beach. It could be your backyard, but it is like a vacational energy. I just feel like it's like needing to really go off the beaten path and do something that is even out of character, or something that's going to require using up some of that money that you keep saying the someday for. And for some of you that are preparing for retirement, I feel like you're going to get the opportunity, or it's the door is going to close and just say you're going out a little bit earlier than you thought you needed to go, or that you've been hoping to go, and you're going to find yourself in like an early retirement or leaving behind at an earlier time. And so there is that kind of leaving behind energy. And so you're going to be retiring and moving into the possibility of something more. And for my creatives, this year is going to be so, like, it's so good for creating. It is so good and don't just think creating a big freaking social media account. Please don't just think, oh, I'm going to create this social media. Do something that is about you in your everyday life, and not something else that you have to become a slave to. Because once it becomes a demand, and once it requires you having to constantly keep adding to something, then you become a slave to that. And this is not about becoming a slave to something. This is about becoming free. This is about freedom. This is about freeing yourself of all of those big obligations and pressures that you put upon yourself to keep being something more than you need to be. And it's about not chasing. This year, you're not chasing things, you're traveling the journey, and there's a big difference. I just keep seeing flowers. I feel like it's like those seeds are breaking through and then coming into a blossom. So if you've been a couple years waiting for something to finally happen or something to unfold, it's like it's blossoming this year. It's taking off. And the fruits of the labor that come after the flowers or the bloom of an apple cherry tree goes, we can't stay in the bloom forever, right? It's like we need the fruit. And so the fruit of the labor will start to appear closer to, the end of the year. But when fall begins to hit, it's a season of ripening. And so in the season of ripening, and when things begin to ripen later summer into fall, I feel like that's when you're going to start to reap the rewards. And not saying there's not rewards coming along the way either, but that's when for many projects or many things that you've been waiting for, that's when you're going to really see the reaping of those rewards, the fruits of the labor. And I also get like a lot of happiness around. So a lot of like childlike, innocent, kid-like energy. So it could be a marriage, it could be celebration of a child. If you've been waiting forever to get pregnant, this may be the year that you finally unfolds. Like you may be the person who gets pregnant in that July, right? And you're announcing it by early fall. And it's just like there is this level of excitement and enthusiasm around the Libra energy. And I'm like, let yourself be excited. Let yourself feel the enthusiasm. Of course, with all new beginnings, there also comes endings. So there is some death stories in here, which leads us down that path of just knowing, death is inevitable. It does happen in no matter what form. But there is, my grandmother always used to say to me every time someone would pass, and when my grandfather passed, and she said, but there was also a baby born somewhere today. There was new life came in today. There was new life. And it doesn't discount the death story. It's just what she was telling me, that the cycles of life, right? And that when our loved ones die, is that they are just beginning a new journey as well. We are as well. We're moving into the pain of the grief. They're moving back into being spirit. And so if we could live from our spirit, if you can live and feel alive in this world and in this life, that's what we came for. We came to feel alive. And so this is your year to really, truly step into the land of the living, to feel alive, not to be so robotic to society, to the system, to being all about work, to being all about the endings, to being all about, it's like, oh, well, I got to do all this because, if not, what will I have for retirement? Well, but that day is not here. You have this day. Now, not saying be reckless, but to create balance in feeling alive and living, and also creating a living. So there's a difference. And this is going to be your year to really recognize, how much of my life am I responding from the fear and from guilt or shaming myself into, or from an old fear story of an old world or an old system that really just doesn't align to my beliefs and who I am today, but yet I still fear the inevitable, but it hasn't happened. So it's definitely a shift in mindset, and it's a big shift in how you show up this year. That's possible. Now you get the free will choice to do whatever you need to do. This is just what they're giving us. I hope in some way that this resonates with you. I send you so much love. Have a beautiful 2025, and I look forward to sharing even more with you.